Welcome back. In the previous lesson, we saw how acceptance is built gradually. Small adjustments accumulate until something that once felt different begins to feel normal. Now we move further, because once something is accepted, a new pattern appears. You don't just stay in the situation. You begin to explain it to others. You begin to support it. And here is the question guiding this lesson. Why do people start defending situations they once questioned? It starts quietly. Someone else notices something you used to notice. They question it. They point it out. And instead of agreeing, you respond differently. You explain. You soften it. You give reasons. You reduce its importance. What once felt clear now feels less certain. Not because it changed, but because your position inside it has changed. Defense does not feel like distortion. It feels like balance. You might think, they don't see the full picture, or it's not that simple. You believe you are being fair. You believe you are adding context, and that belief feels justified. But look carefully. The explanation is not neutral. It is protecting the situation you are already part of. Now look at what is actually being protected. Not just the situation, but your place in it. If the situation is questioned, your involvement becomes visible. Your decisions become visible. Your adjustments become visible, and that creates discomfort. So the defense does something important. It stabilizes your position by stabilizing the situation. Compare two perspectives. Someone outside the situation sees a clear pattern. Someone inside sees nuance, context, and explanation. The situation is the same, but the interpretation is different. Not because one person is more accurate, but because one person is involved. And involvement changes perception. Now we go further. When this pattern repeats, defense becomes automatic. You no longer notice the shift. You explain before questioning. You protect before evaluating. The situation becomes harder to see clearly, not because it is hidden, but because your response to it has changed. You see this across contexts. At work, people defend systems they once criticized. In relationships, behavior that once raised concern becomes justified. In social environments, group dynamics are protected by those inside them. In each case, the pattern is the same. What was once questioned becomes explained and then defended. So, return to the question. Why do people defend what once felt wrong? Over the next few days, notice when you explain something you once questioned, when you reduce its importance, when you add context to make it acceptable. Observe the shift without changing it. Because defense does not just protect the situation, it keeps you connected to it. In the next lesson, we move into something even more direct. How people begin to take responsibility for situations they did not originally create.